All right, I kept it short before, but today we're breaking it all down. From the initial idea to the final edit, here's how I make high quality videos from start to finish. Before you even touch a camera, plan. How do you want to tell this story? Is it a step-by-step build, a technique breakdown, an unboxing experience? Define your approach. As an example, when I got my 3D printer, I knew I would want to document my first design. To do that, I structured my video around these 3 key aspects. The problem: I have too many SD cards with no storage solution. The solution? Design and build a storage solution for my SD cards. Then the result is to showcase that final product and its key features. With the plan locked in, it's time to build the foundation of the video, and that's your shot list. There are plenty of ways to approach this, but here's how I structure mine. I start with an intro shot to establish the project and set the scene. Then I move on to the key stages: sketching the concept, modeling in software, and finally bringing it to life with a 3D printer. I then wrap things up with my hero shot, where I showcase the final product along with its key features. And a pro tip, keep it chronological. When I'm creating my shot list, I'm also envisioning the transitions from one scene to the next. And keeping it chronological makes both shooting and editing a lot smoother. Now, I said this in my previous video, and I'll say it again. It really doesn't matter what you shoot with. Good lighting makes all the difference. As for my setup, I've got lights scattered around, lighting up different areas in my workspace. And my main key light is the Xeon cob light with a large softbox positioned at a 45-degree angle towards the area that I'm shooting. And if you don't have a key light, natural light works just as fine. In fact, when I started making videos, I relied on natural light to light up my scene in the daytime. And at night, I use my Philips Hues. My point is, gear doesn't make your story, you do. But the only gear you absolutely do need is a solid tripod. Stabilized footage makes a huge difference, and as a solo shooter, 90% of my shots are still, so I highly recommend that you invest in a solid tripod. And now the fun part, filming. Start with an establishing shot to set the scene, then work through your shot list one shot at a time. And mix it up a little, switch between different angles, focal lengths, and perspectives to keep things more engaging. As an example, my intro alone had 4 different shots. A slider shot to transition from the last scene, a medium wide shot to establish the workspace, an extreme close-up of the SD cards crashing into one another, and finally a close-up shot of me picking up the SD card, transitioning to the next scene. And I know that sounds like a lot, but here's the same intro using one shot versus multiple. Personally, I prefer the variety, but what do you think? And when it comes to camera settings, I hate to be that person, but shoot in manual. Auto white balance, auto ISO, and autofocus might seem convenient, but they can shift randomly, whether it's within the same scene or between shots. So lock in your settings to avoid that frustration of trying to fix it in post. Once you're done shooting and have all your shots, transfer your content to your computer. I recommend naming your folder with the date and project title. Then in your video editing software, bring your footage to the timeline. Now, this is a personal preference, but in my opinion, editing with flat footage is no fun. So as soon as I import my footage, I apply my camera's LUTs and a custom LUT to give my footage a base look. And for transitions, since I shoot with them in mind, matching movements from one shot to the next, I keep it clean. Occasionally, I'll add a subtle zoom in and out, but that's about it. Simple, clean, and effective. Once I'm done sorting my timeline, that's when I start working on my sound design. I usually add swishes for movements, and to enhance actions, I add object-specific sound effects. Admittedly, I might go a little overboard with sound design, but that's just a preference. My only advice, make sure whatever sound effect you use matches with what you see on the screen. And yes, sound design might seem tedious at times, but it's the detail that makes the video feel immersive. As for music, pick something that fits the energy of your edit. And if the track calls for it, sync your cuts to the beat for a more seamless feel. And if you're wondering where I got my sound effects, I use Epidemic Sound. But you don't have to. You can always record your own sound for that clean ASMR style effect. And finally, color grading. Even though I added a custom LUT to my footage, I still adjust the brightness, saturation, and contrast of each clip to make my footage overall pop. But overall, I keep it simple and don't spend too much time on it. And once you do all that, you should end up with something like this. And there you have it. From planning to the final edit, that was how I plan, shoot, and edit all my creative videos. I hope this responds to some of your comments, but let me know your thoughts in the comments or if there's anything else that you want to see. And until then, look after one another, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.